Before you looms the darkness of Ilex Forest. You've just earned your second badge in the Johto League, and you're already excited about getting your third. It doesn't strike you as odd that no one in Azalea Town told you much about the forest. It does strike you as a little odd that no one will tell you how to get through it. Nonetheless, you know from the map in the Pokemon Center that it stands between you and Goldenrod City, and you need to get to Goldenrod within a week. There is, in reality, no reason why you absolutely need to be there within a week, but you simply decided right after defeating Bugsy that you want to get your next badge right away. So, you need to go through Ilex Forest. You pass an elderly couple on your way through the pristine checkpoint. They stare at you for a while before the old man turns to his wife. Part of you swears you can hear him mutter, "You know we can't warn anyone. Don't you remember what happened to the last kid we tried to tell the story to?" Shuddering, you glance back at them for a second, then shrug it off. It's just your imagination, and you know it. Although it's noon when you start off, the forest canopy, with its lush spread of leaves overhead, quickly blocks out the sun to make it look like the dead of night. You're not scared. You've been through the ruins of Alph already. You've seen Ghastly and Sprout Tower. You even faced Team Rocket in the depths of Slowpoke Well. Besides, you have Pokemon with you. High-level ones, to be exact. After all, you just defeated Bugsy. Your team can face anything. Not far into the forest, you come across a young boy. He's muttering to himself and pacing back and forth in front of a small tree. Blinking, you slowly approach him. "Hey, are you alright?" you ask. He looks up. His eyes are wide and his face looks pale, even in the shadows. "It's my boss," he says. "He's gonna kill me." "What makes you say that?" The boy wrings his hands. "I brought his Farfetch'd in here to cut wood, but I don't have any badges. So they won't listen to me and ran off into the forest. I can't get them back. Even if I knew where they were, they'll just run away from me." He hangs his head. "If my boss finds out I lost his Farfetch'd?" You smile. You know you have the badges to get Pokemon to follow you, and you're willing to help someone out. Besides, they're Farfetch'd. They're no match for your team, and you know that too. "I can help you," you say. Looking up, the boy gives you a strange look. "You really can?" "Sure, just tell me which way they went, and I'll get them back in no time." He grabs your hands and shakes it. "Oh, thank you, you don't know how much this means to me. They went that way." He points to the left down a narrow path. "And hurry, if my boss realizes how long I've been gone, he'll come out here looking for me." You nod and turn your head towards the path. This, you think, is going to be easy. It doesn't take you long to find the first Farfetch'd. There it sits, rooting through wild onions. Licking your lips, you pluck the first Pokeball from your belt and creep forward. It doesn't even notice you're there. That is, it doesn't notice until you accidentally step on a branch. The wood snaps beneath your weight, and although the forest isn't silent, the sound echoes louder than anything else you hear. For a brief second, everything falls still and quiet. You don't even notice. The reason why you don't notice is because the Farfetch'd is looking directly at you. You straighten up and extend a hand. "It's okay," you whisper. "Just stay there. I'm here to..." The Farfetch'd bolts into the woods. "No! No! Oh!" Without thinking about it, you bolt into the underbrush after it. You're not entirely aware of where you're going, and for that reason, it doesn't take you long to lose sight of the path. After a while, you lose sight of the Farfetch'd. If you were old enough to curse, you would have done so right about now. Looking back, you realize belatedly that you lost track of the path too. "Nice," you say to yourself. "Real nice." Huffing, you continue in what you think is the best direction, forward. After all, the forest can't go on forever. You don't know how long you've been walking by the time you see something other than trees. Eventually, you realize that the further you go into the forest, the darker it gets. Overhead, the canopy closes over you, blotting out the sun and submerging the rest of the forest in pitch darkness. You feel a slight chill, but you ignore it and press onwards. After all, you have 2 badges and 6 Pokemon so far. You can face anything. After some time, you come across a pile of stones nestled between the trees. Upon closer inspection, you realize it's a shrine. Your feet climb onto its stone base, and your hand clears off some of the ivy on its square stone face. Even after some of the ivy is gone, you can't quite tell which old god the shrine might be dedicated to. The inscriptions across its flat surface are worn and in a language you can't recognize. You only realize it's a shrine because it resembles the small squat ones you learned about in school, and because you can still see a small pile of offerings, a doll, a few coins, small animal bones at your feet. You shrug and walk away. It's an old shrine, nothing special, you decide. It's not like anyone believes in the god it might have been for these days, right? This will be your second mistake. Once again, you find yourself wandering through the darkness of the forest. A nagging worry starts to overtake you. While you're pretty sure it's impossible for a place to go on forever, you start to wonder if you have enough food and water to make it back to civilization. It occurs to you that you have no idea how big Ilex Forest actually is, so you don't even know if you have enough supplies to get somewhere safe. Sure, you know how to forage, but there just doesn't seem to be that much edible here. There don't even seem to be Pokemon to hunt if all else fails. That's when you realize something that really disturbs you. There aren't any Pokemon. You can't hear the cries of a Zubat or Hoot Hoot in the trees above you. There aren't any Rattata or Paris scrambling through the underbrush. And even the trunks of the trees are completely devoid of insect Pokemon. As far as you can tell, you are completely alone. Your heart beats quickly when you realize this fact, and it takes all of your willpower to keep walking slowly through the woods. It would be a bad thing if you suddenly burst into a run when you're lost in the forest. This is one of the basic things you learned before setting out on your journey. You'd get yourself even more lost, and even worse, you'd end up exhausting yourself faster. So, taking a deep breath, you confide your sudden bout of fear to uncontrollable shaking as you pass through another thatch of trees and underbrush. On the other side, you suddenly come to a clearing, and in the middle of it is a stone house. It should be noted that you came to this suddenly because just a second ago, it looked like to you the wall of trees was unending. Nonetheless, you blink and thank the legendaries that there's a sign of civilization right in front of you. Even better, smoke is curling from the chimney, and the air smells like cooking meat and spices. That tells you two things. First, it means that you might be able to get something to eat, because you just now realize that you're intensely hungry. And second, it means that there are people inside who might be able to give you directions out of the forest. By this point, you abandon all hope of finding the far-fetched. Instead, you run towards the red door. As if by magic, it swings open, and from the inside of the house, you hear a low female voice. "Hello, dear," it tells you. "What might a nice child be doing all the way out here? You must be such a strong trainer. Perhaps the champion?" You blush. "Oh, I have 2 badges." "Ah," the woman says. "You must be very strong indeed. Come inside. Doubtless, you'll want some time to rest, and I haven't had much company lately. Come sit by the fire and tell me all about your adventures." How could you say no? You decide that the chicken, you assume it was chicken, but you can't really tell, was the tastiest piece of meat that has ever crossed your lips. The water must have been from the sweetest and freshest spring ever created, and you have nothing but praise to offer the steamed vegetables and the berry pie that the woman gave afterwards. After a while, you tell her about all your adventures. You start by telling her that you were one child of the 3 who were given a starter Pokemon by Professor Elm in New Bark Town. You continue by telling her about your battle against Faulkner, shot down by your starter, and Bugsy, stomped on by the first Pokemon you caught. You detail the way you captured all 5 of the other Pokemon with you, even going into detail about their individual personalities. You even tell her about your battles against the Sages in Sprout Tower and Team Rocket in Slowpoke Well. The woman says nothing, but she smiles and looks impressed at the appropriate moments. You don't even notice that she's not eating anything. After everything is said, the old woman clears the dishes off the table. She finally speaks. What incredible stories, she tells you. My, you're quite the accomplished trainer. What might you be doing this far into Ilex Forest, though? Are you heading to Goldenrod City? You shrug. Well, I was, but there was this guy who lost his Farfetch somewhere in here. I was trying to get it back, but I got lost. She sighs. Oh, you poor dear, don't you worry. The Farfetch surely got back to its master by now. They usually do. But you must have gotten exhausted chasing after that bird. Why don't you spend the night here to rest? I can give you directions back to Azalea Town or to Goldenrod, whichever you like. Although her offer is generous, something about it doesn't sit right with you. You can't quite explain what it is, but something sends a shiver down your spine. Smiling, you stand. That sounds real nice, ma'am, but I should get going. If you could just tell me which way Goldenrod is, I'll just be on my way. The old woman's expression blanks, and she reaches out to grab your wrist. Right then, you shiver again, but this time it's because you notice that her hand is stone cold. Hey, you exclaim, let me go! The old woman's grip on your wrist tightens. I'm sorry, child. She made me do this. Your joints feel stiff. At first you think it's just fear, but looking down you notice something weird. Your skin has turned rough and brown and small twigs are starting to grow from your arms. You want to scream, but you just can't. Your mouth is open, but no sound is coming from it. The old woman guides you outside. You can feel the chill wind all around you, but it passes right through your clothes and your skin and directly into your bones. Your insides feel hot like they're trying to boil up against your skin. Groaning, you writhe and try to break away from the old woman, but she simply guides you to a spot near the house. Your feet break out your sneakers, your toes thrust into the ground. You can feel the moist earth beneath you, but your mind by then breaks. Eventually, you can't think straight as your body stretches and thickens. Your legs fuse together in a single trunk, and all of a sudden, you realize in your last fit of consciousness that you have never felt a single bit of pain. Discomfort, yes, but no pain. It was almost as if it was natural for this to happen. Looking down at the old woman, you notice another creature standing beside her. At first, you think it's a lady dressed in green, but at a second glance, you notice that it's a small pixie-like Pokemon with large blue eyes turned towards you. Another offering, the old woman says wearily. Are you satisfied now? The creature says nothing. In the heart of Ilex Forest, where the trees are so thick they block out the sun, a sapling stands, surrounded by hundreds of old, tall trees. At its base are 6 Pokeballs that gather dirt and dust as the seasons pass. You know they contain Pokemon, high-level ones to be exact. They once defeated Bugsy, but you can't reach them. You can hear them now, the trees, that is. All around you, they're weeping and moaning. They can't sleep, they can't rest, they can't scream. All they can do is stand around the cottage, watching as the old witch turns yet another helpless child into a gift for the voice of the forest. Eventually, you find yourself joining them, yearning to warn every new trainer that came by. But you can't. You can't move. You can't scream. You can't sleep. You can only watch.